and neither have I wings to fly. Give me a boat that only carries two, and I shall row my love and I. Long ago, in the motherland, there lived a people who were extremely gifted, who, through their influence, eventually brought their gifts to the world. They were teachers, they were doctors, they were good mothers and fathers. And amongst them, there also was a healer whose name was Wajet. She was the healing doctor of the village, and she shared her gifts in words, in laying on of hands, in thought, and constantly reminded the people of the village that they were gifted. In fact, these people were so gifted that they had the gift of flight. It said that they could fly at will, through thought, rise up into the air like beautiful black birds. There was a very special young lady also who lived in the village. She had just married and was so very much in love with her husband and he with her. They thought the day would never ever come they would part. But the day arrived. Strangers showed up in their area. They took the people, forced them onto a boat. And this very special woman who was so in love with her husband found herself separated from him for the very first time as she went across the water, as she endured sickness, as she carried his child and made it across the water with other people of the village. And in their pain, they began to forget who they were. They were given other names. They were disgraced and told to forget about the fact that they had been priests, priestesses, physicians, teachers, loving mothers and fathers. Their only purpose now was to work this land. The young woman who was given the name of Jane gave birth to her child and ate every single day for her husband. One day as she was working in the field and she had her child slung across her body, the baby started crying, and she did everything she could to try to calm the child. But the overseer stood over her with a lash and threatened to hit her with the lash. "You keep that baby quiet." Wow. She tried and she tried. And the baby kept crying. The overseer came and hit the ground with the lash. Wajet, who made it her business to get on that boat and cross the water with her people, went over to Jane. Jane said, "Mother, how much longer?" And Wajet said, "Not much longer." She was trying to remember the special words that would help them to fly because she had forgotten. On one particularly hot day, the sun was shining down so hot that people were just falling in their spots in the field. And the overseer sent his henchmen out with the lash to beat every single one of them. And once again, Jane's baby started to cry. And she found herself hit with the lash. She fell, holding her baby. And in that moment, that's when Wajet remembered. She said, my people, listen to me. Remember who you are. Remember who you are. We are those that can fly." And she began saying the magical words, Mkutenmer, which means in light and in love. Mkutenmer, they carried. They remembered what was special about them. They stood up, Mkutemer, 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 and like beautiful black wings, they flew up into the air. The overseer thought he was losing his mind, and all his henchmen, and he pointed to Wajet and said, "It's her! Get her!" And as Jane gathered up her baby and focused on returning back to her beloved, she was filled with joy, and she united with the rest as they flew back to the motherland. And as they tried to grab Wajet, she looked at them, the overseer with his lash on the horse and all of his henchmen, and she said, "Don't you know who we are? We are those who can fly!" She lifted off the ground and headed back to the motherland. But there were those who were left behind. Those who had been on the plantation too long. And from that day, the stories were told by those left behind. And little children, generations later, would ask, tell that story. Tell that story of what great-great-grandma saw, what great-great-granddad saw. And the story would begin in the same way. They say,